Is It Fun? The series where we talk about and review video games and ultimately let you know whether it's fun or not. We don't get paid to do these reviews and we don't do reviews with scores out of 10. We just let you know if it's fun or not and ultimately if it's worth your money and whether we recommend it. Today we are up with Recreation. Oh, it's a pun and it's spelt with like rec as in CK, so that's fun. What is it? It's a car racing game, I would say very much on the side of arcade racing, that's kind of in the Burnout franchise philosophy of games where it's about wreckage. So it's kind of like Destruction Derby a little bit, but without so much emphasis on the destruction. There's tricks and a whole mess of craziness that can go on. Physics is out the window. Racing's more about wrecking cars and coming first than it is about just coming first and finding the optimum routes for racing. This is not a hardcore racing game is pretty much what I'm saying. You just in this pretty big map that it plonks you in, and yeah, you're just really racing around or completing certain challenges and certain events to unlock more license points to unlock more cars, to then get more license points to unlock more cars. It's pretty much just putting you on that loop until you complete everything. One thing I will say before we kind of dive into my thoughts on the game is there is a lot of game here. Even just the collectibles itself, of which there's a few. You need to drive through billboards, you need to smash through fences. Just the fences alone, there's 355 of them on the track. There are so many events to participate in that are varied when it comes to, it could be wreck 8 cars in a minute. It could be, just a point-to-point track. It could be a lap style event. And the lap style event does do something interesting where any of the wreckage that happened in the first lap stays there for the second and third lap. So that's kind of interesting and a good take on the game. There's sprint finishes. There's sort of like a point, system where it's like equestrian, but for cars, where you're just doing tricks and Circus Soleil sort of stuff, where physics just takes kind of a backseat for what you're doing. And there's a giant boost system for while you're doing it all. So, in races, if you're against traffic or if you're getting near misses in cars, you get an extra boost that seems to just fill up from nowhere. And we just suspend belief that we just have this NOS system in the back of our car that's fed by sick moves. Not to say that's not the only racing game that has done that. So that's a pretty big synopsis of what this game is. Does it hit the mark? In my opinion, no. There are some fun elements to this game. There are some times that I did have a bit of a blast in one or two events where the game flowed properly and it was smooth and ultimately just, I kind of came first because I deserved it and everything just kind of went my way. When it doesn't go your way, this game can be extremely frustrating. And I think sometimes the game is programmed to not go your way to make you redo races. So really, you're just flying along in a track. The computers kind of get a bit of a boost at the start, so they kind of jump in front of you, and you're just playing catch up throughout the race. And this is more the race style of things. And yeah, I just find being a couple of seconds behind the races is a bit of a problem because it's very easy to wreck in this game, and I'll tell you why. If you're going with traffic, and obviously there's going to be traffic on the road, and obviously there's going to be crashes if you're doing 300 kilometers an hour on a public road. However, the lights at night, or even during the day, it's almost impossible to tell cars that are in your lane going your way. So you really have to go against traffic, of which you're going to find situations where there's 2 or 3 cars coming against you. I just find that seems to happen with oncoming traffic more than ongoing. I don't know why, but yeah, I just seem to find that a little bit more, that you'll come across a truck or something on those lines, that 2 trucks just next to each other, there's just nothing you can do. When it comes to the smash a certain amount of cars in a time limit, that can be so tedious. I find the wrecks counting system to not work properly. Sometimes you'll smash a car, they'll hit a fence, and they'll just kind of stop there, but it won't really wreck them, so that doesn't count. They'll sometimes just turn off, they'll veer off in certain directions. And again, you're playing catch-up. At most, you'll have 2 or 3 cars in any given group. I would say one of them will get independently wrecked. Ironically, this is the only time that a car will wreck itself. If you're playing catch-up in a race, none of the cars in front of you wreck themselves unless you're quite close to them. So I find you're really the main culprit of any sort of wreckage or hitting oncoming traffic, unless you're very close to computers. But yeah, I find if you just try to wreck them in a certain amount of time, they'll do all sorts of stuff to make sure that you don't get that hit. I found that to be the most challenging game mode, which should be the most funnest of just, hey, we're just veering cars off in a certain direction. I found that to be the biggest kick in the balls than any of the other game modes, just because of how difficult it was to catch up to cars to be able to get the number that you need. Like I said, they'd be in a group of 3, one might turn off into another another road for no warning or reason. They just sort of head off into no man's land, but no car comes in to replace them. So now you're left with two. That other one might just wreck itself for no reason at all, and then you're left with one. You wreck that, and then off you go to spend the next 15-20 seconds in a minute timer to chase the next pack of 3. If you wreck out in that time, that's it. It's race over. So if you wreck yourself in any of this period of time, in any sort of event, that's it. It's over. There's no real chance to catch up. The obstacles course stuff is kind of fun, but I find it to be not very present, at least how far I got into the game. I'm probably about hour 9 now. I found that to be not to be real present in the game, like it just kind of pops up here and there. You can customize and make your own tracks, and that looks very in depth. I don't have a creative bone in my body, so unfortunately I can't really test that. But that I will admit, outside of the other stuff with the AI, does look quite fun. Playing online's a little hit and miss. I tried to do it. It just didn't seem to sink in properly. I found the controls to be a little bit janky when I jumped online. That might be because I'm in Australia as well, but I can only play the game that's in front of me, right? So I just found it to be like a weird experience. So really I was at the whims of AI, and I just think that they're not done very well, in my opinion. Like, to be fair, 2008 Burnout Paradise has better controls and handling and AI system than this game does, 18 years down the road. So I would say, if you do want this game, just buy Burnout Paradise Remastered or go buy the first one, because you'll get more of a game than this. I think this is going for $40 US and it is $59 Australian. I think Burnout Paradise Remastered is like $30. So, and there's nothing new here. There's no reinvention of the game. It's just really meant to pull the hooks in of like, oh, it's a Burnout game. I remember that was cool. But yeah, it ultimately just misses the mark for me. The graphics aren't really that stunning for a racing game either. I wouldn't say there's anything like fundamentally wrong about it. Like, it's not like a bad game. I just find it to be like a little bit uninspired, to be honest. It just seems to be a bit of a rush job. Even though the map is so big, it's mostly just the same. You don't really go off to cool sceneries or different locations like you would in Forza Horizon. And that's okay. This game isn't competing with Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon is probably the top dog in this genre of games. But it doesn't really take you to interesting locations. It doesn't really take you to anything, good at all. You're just kind of in the countryside, just on country highways. And, there's sprawling mountains and things like that, but they don't look great. And because you're just wishing through it fast as you can, it just doesn't flow very well. The braking system I don't like at all. I find the drifting system to be very hard to control, but braking itself is just like, I just don't like it at all. There's no real flow in my mind, and that's really what a racing game for me is about, is if you get that real flow of chaining good corners together, when you get that braking perfect and you just hit the accelerator and get that real speed carry into corners. None of that's there. I get it's more of an arcade game. It's not like F1s or iRacing or anything like that, but I think like your racing game is only as fun as the controls allow it to be, and this one just doesn't really hit the mark for me. So I just found it to be a bit tedious as entirely of a game, which is a bit sad, I think, for a racing game, especially a racing game that's of this ilk. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to be crashes. This is meant to be bang and crash. The other thing is when you do wreck a car and it does send you on a cutscene, when it brings you back into your car, you don't control that car for like a brief second, and it can restart you like in the middle of a corner. It puts you in the worst situations when you come back. Or there's a few times I've just been come back and there's just an oncoming car just coming to hit me, and there's just nothing I can do about it. So I find that system to be quite weird too, especially when you just get, it's kind of the computer again kicking you in the balls. I just don't get why no one, when they're developing this game, went like, oh, that's something we should fix, or that's going to be a problem. It may have been rushed to come out and they'll just fix it afterwards, but ultimately I didn't love this game as much as I kind of was hoping I would, because I did like those Burnout games, and I know that's a long time ago and I was a lot younger, but I was hoping I'd at least get some of those nostalgia vibes or something from it, but I really didn't. I just found this to just be like, even though it has so much content and there's so much to do here, and if you do like this game, far out, there's a lot of game here. Like, this will keep you going for a very long time if you're just one of those people that only buy a few games a year. But if you don't like this game, you're not really going to play it too much, because there's nothing that really grabs you or clips you or keeps you in the cycle here of wanting to get better or wanting to unlock more cars. it's just kind of, even the cars themselves, most of them aren't real, at least by what I can gather, and they just seem very cobbled together. So yeah, I just can't recommend this game. I know that's a bit harsh. I wouldn't say that it's like completely not fun. There were fun moments in it, but I think for the price point, I wouldn't go for it. If it's on sale and some of what I'm saying makes sense to you and you're like, I might try it out, wait for it to go on sale then. Wait for it to go on sale and then have a bit of a try. I wouldn't get this at full price, not $40 American, especially when there's like Arc Raiders and a whole bunch of other, driving games. Like I said, Burnout Paradise is a remastered. If you haven't checked that out, just go play that. I just think that's easier for you. Anyway, that is the whole review. So comment down below and hit the like button because those really do help videos. But comment anything to do with this franchise or this racing game or this style of racing game and what your thoughts are. You may have played it and disagree with me. You may have played it and agree with me. Put that down below. Hit the subscribe button because that really does help us out. You have no idea. And just kind of, you've made it this far on a game review. This is what we do. We do game reviews, we do play sessions, we do news when, we can kind of rant about things like that. My brother's doing a random today Steam game where he just plays a game that came out today at Steam. So one of them, I think, was like Crypto Bros or something was the last one he played. I'm going to be doing something similar. We've got play sessions between us. So there's a ton of content involving video games. And I'm going to have an Australian accent. If you're not from Australia, it's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I always think we sound a bit whiny over here. Like we're very nasally. But there you go. Anyway, I'm going to edit this up, cut this up, and get on out of here. So that is Rec Nation. Is it fun? My name is Brenton. This is Redland Live. See ya, and bye.